everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of Breaking Through the Ellina Abovian podcast. In this episode, it's a special sit-down with my very good friend, Lucy Hart. Lucy is a master microblading artist. She's been making faces beautiful one eyebrow at a time for more than 20 years, and she's a pioneer in her industry. Lucy is a talented, smart businesswoman and a mom. And just like me, she's a single mom. Our shared experience of navigating this new chapter of our lives has brought us so much closer together. So in this episode, we take a dive into what life is like on the other side, the importance of female friendships, how to succeed as a single mom, learning self-love, letting go of the grief, and finding peace and purpose within.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking straight at you the whole time.
Don't forget to stare at me. Okay? I stare at people when they speak.
I'm going to be honing in on your soul in this conversation.
Dive right in, girl.
I'm writing dying.
If we get through this episode, it will be a miracle.
Yeah.
Lucy Hart, welcome to the show.
Thank you, babe. I'm glad to be here.
I am so happy to have you here in my chair for the next hour because we're going to have some great conversations.
We're basically going to have conversations that we have outside of here.
Every day on the phone.
It's just going to be, recorded and blasted on the internet.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But again, really, thank you so much for being here. I know it takes a lot of guts and a lot of grace and a lot of grit to be open about your story, to share your experience, to share your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so honored to have you here, not only as my friend, but as someone that I admire from a distance, even just as a woman.
I love you, Ellina John. I admire you the same. So it's just an amazing friendship because the feeling is so mutual. And that's very important, I think, big time.
For sure. And we're going to talk about the importance of female friendships. But you and I, we've known each other for 20 years, 25
we've known
years.
of each other for a very long time.
A very long time. We didn't really become friends until a couple years ago, but even then it didn't quite click. And I think the click happened maybe 6 months ago where it's like we really bonded.
Yeah.
And that speaks to how friendships sometimes can be. It's not linear, but there comes a moment where something really connects you and then that person just becomes your sister.
Yeah, I think it's timing. I think it's, lifestyle. I think it's, when you're on the same level with someone, you just connect. Right?
And we connected mainly on the fact that we are both single moms.
And
getting our kids synchronized on the same weekend schedule was a game changer.
But it wasn't just that. We connected because we're both very real. We're both very confident. We're both very comfortable in our own skin. When I got to know you, Ellina, I didn't feel any sort of weirdness or intimidation. I'm not intimidated by you. You're not intimidated by me. We're both
You're kidding? You
doing
scare the
our
shit out of me.
I love you. We're both doing our thing and we're both happy people. And you know what? At the end of the day, we shared a very similar experience, which is what brought us closer together. And we are both very honest and open about all of that.
Right.
And when you're that way, you connect to people easier, right?
Well, at this age, you just don't have time for the bullshit.
No.
And I think in the last few years, what I've really learned is that certain friendships will drop away from your life and certain friendships will...
You sure know that one.
Yes, we do. Will solidify.
Yeah.
And there's no animosity with that.
No.
I read a quote recently that said, if you are not losing friends, you're not growing as a person.
I saw that very recently as well.
And it's absolutely true. But as you lose certain friends, you also gain certain friends. And I don't look at the loss of friendships as something that's detrimental to that friendship. I think it's a natural process.
Yeah, you outgrew.
You outgrow, but you also save space for, I may come back to this friendship in the future.
Yeah.
As a different version of myself. We are evolving every single day and our lives are changing. I never thought 5 years ago you and I would be this close, but it's where we are in our lives, right? So you have to allow people to meet you where you are and embrace the good people in your life.
And you know what? That is also something to use as an example with your partner that you're no longer with. Never burn your bridges. One person evolves, the other person doesn't, you grow apart. And one day that person may evolve and catch up to you. So don't ever burn your bridges with your friends, with the partner that you are no longer choosing to be with, because, one day you might see eye to eye again. And one day you might be in that same kind of like space
Synergistic
again.
energy.
And you don't want to do something or say something that you're going to regret later. Because hurting people with words and actions, sometimes you can't come back from that.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think there's also people in your life that show up as a different version of themselves to teach you something.
Absolutely.
Some people are not necessarily meant to heal at the same time that you're healing.
Absolutely.
So you have to give them the dignity and the space and let them go. Let them go do their own thing. And you'll have to just trust in God, in life, in the universe, that this person will come back into my life when our paths need to cross again.
Yeah.
And that takes so much strength and so much maturity and so much trust in life to be able to do that and not to resort to petty words, like you said, things that we can say that we may no longer be able to come back from. What gave you that sense of wholeness to be able to embrace life this way now and all of your relationships?
I think as immature as I can be, and I think as it took me a long time, honestly, to like really mature as a woman, because I'm like very funny, I'm silly, I don't take things so seriously, I don't take myself seriously. But I've always had a deep maturity in me. And what we were talking about earlier today, that thick skin thing that we were talking about that we both have, that comes from,
the career paths we've chosen.
The career paths that we've chosen. And that matures you very quickly because you're thrown into the wolves. And, maturity is a big one because you start to understand not only yourself, but other people. You can't judge a person, you can't judge a situation, and you really have to always remember that it's God's plan. So whether or not that person came into your life to heal you or to teach you a lesson or for you to heal them or for you to teach them a lesson, you have to remember it's all God's plan, right? And you can't get lost in being upset with someone or having these emotions that are so negative, and that comes from a lot of maturity and having faith that things happen for a reason. People come into your life for a reason. People leave your life for a reason. And I've had quite a few experiences with people coming in and out of my life my whole life. And I've had pain, I've had suffering. And I've lost a lot of friends very young. I've lost all of my best friends growing up when my business took off. When my business took off and I started making a lot of money, my friends just dropped like flies. And I know that happened because they just couldn't. I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest, but they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle seeing me succeed that way. And it was so devastating to me because I didn't just start making money overnight. I rose for $12, $15 for 12
for
years.
10 years prior to the success.
12 years prior to the success. I didn't have weekends. I was a makeup artist for brides in particular with my lovely Nuna that I worked for 12 years. And I didn't have a weekend to myself. They were booked 8 months out. I couldn't go to Vegas last minute, and I was on my feet working all the time while they were planning trips, while they were going out. So I put in my work and I earned that. And so, losing friends at such a young age, having success, it taught me a lot. It was very heartbreaking. It hurt me very, very badly, but it makes you stronger, right? They say pain makes you stronger.
Yeah. Pain is the gateway to the light.
Yes.
In every situation in life. And I think now being in the second chapter of our lives and having gone through the darkness, you and I can both have this type of understanding when it comes to people and friendships because you just approach life differently. And you understand that the timeline doesn't exist anymore. And it's really about embracing this special moment that we have. And the reason I say that we connected so much through being single moms is because it is such a special moment. Our children are still very young. And if we get caught up in the negativity of everything we have gone through and maybe still are going through, we're going to miss their childhood.
I know.
So what did we decide to do?
I know you missed some of it. I missed some of it. You can't not miss some of it.
Because they're not with you.
Yeah.
But what do we do when they are with us? This is a promise that you and I both made to each other, that we're going to do our best to create these incredible memories with our kids.
Yeah.
And what have we been doing? Taking them to the beach, taking them to the movies, letting them get to know each other and play.
Hanging out
And
at
we're
the
being
house.
a witness to their lives. And now we're doing it in this new environment that we've created. And really taking ownership of the fact that this is my new normal. I may not do family vacations, but I'm going to do vacations with my girlfriends and our kids.
And
we're going to have the best
There's going to be more kids.
time.
We're going to collect kids and moms and have,
this is like our growing tribe.
Yeah.
But it's finding joy in that. And that's how you let the pain go, is choosing joy.
Yeah.
And finding people who can be in your tribe with you with the same mindset.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons you learned in being a single mom?
I don't know. I can't particularly pinpoint like one or two lessons. I think generally it's just spending as much time that I can with him, and making sure that his life doesn't change, making sure that he understands that like he's not unique for having parents that are not together.
And that's why it's important to have them be friends with other kids who are also in the same boat.
And you know what I've learned being a single mom, being single, being alone, is really my happiness relies on myself. My son's happiness relies on his mom and his dad. So we both have to be happy. Whether we were happy together or happy apart, we both have to be happy for this child to be happy, because you can stick it out all you want with your partner, and your kids can grow up seeing you guys fight, seeing you guys not like each other, not seeing affection, not seeing true love in the house, and that energy is just going to be so awful. That's not better. That's not better. And
they say it's not what you provide for your children, but how you model life for your children.
So
that makes the biggest impact.
Okay, modeling a life that, that your child's going to take things from, that's going to grow from, that's going to take it as an example and want to have that kind of lifestyle too. When you grow up with parents that are very affectionate and loving, you grow up being very loving and affectionate with your partner. And when it's the opposite, sometimes they take that too. But what I've learned is happiness is the only thing that matters.
What do you think Manuk takes from you? Because I'll tell you what Chris and Nikki told me that they take from me the other day, and it was so beautiful to hear. They said, "Mom, you're so calm."
You are.
I know.
I saw that in you at the beach the other day. I was like, wow, I wish I could be like you.
I'm a Zendan. Chris goes, "Mommy, you were calm from the day I was born. I remember you're always calm." Wow. So I really thought about that. If my child who's 9 years old recognizes this in me, that's a powerful tool, because then I can be someone who models calm behavior to my kids. What do you think that you are modeling to Manuk that is your strongest suit, your essence as a mother?
I think I'm modeling to him that life is real. And some days he sees me sad, and most days he sees me happy. And I'm modeling to him that it's okay to have a good day and a bad day. You have to pick up and keep moving. And also to be very grateful, because we pray at night before we go to bed most of the days, especially when, sometimes kids are tired and they go to bed. But being, having faith in God and being grateful is my main thing.
I think that's what I love most about you. You are the eternal optimist. You're like Charlotte from Sex and the City. You're Charlotte.
That's so funny, because I've always seen when I love Sex in the City, and I've always related to her. That's so funny.
And it takes a lot to be that person. I think sometimes it seems effortless, but it really does take a lot of effort to show up as someone who is peaceful, someone who is positive, someone who is grateful. What do you think is the secret sauce that keeps you that way and moving forward that way?
I think my parents. I think growing up with such kind and loving parents, I've always had, I grew up having a good life. They didn't fight and argue, and they kept a lot of drama away from us. We didn't see a lot of the background noise and the family stuff that if they did happen, we didn't know about it. And my parents are just really good people. They're kind people. They're loving people. They're giving people. They're happy people. They're peaceful people. And I think, I would say probably I'm going to give that to my parents because I don't know where else it came from, But you know what I want to ask you?
Go for it.
How are you so calm? Where'd you get that from?
Xanax. Just kidding. I've never.
I doubt it.
Never in my life taken any prescription medication, actually.
I know. You wouldn't have said that if you did.
No, it's a joke. I think it's very innate. It's part of being a Pisces for me, but also just growing up as a child who really observed everything. I knew what it was like to take myself out of a situation and observe. I observed a lot of things that maybe kids shouldn't see as a child, but I did. And I internalized it. But with that, I kept a very calm exterior. And that quality just carried with me. And I have a very good way of self-regulating myself and bouncing back and just kind of looking at life through a calm lens, because I cannot look at life through a, eccentric or crazy lens. It's just not who I am. And anyone who brings that out in me, for me, is an immediate red flag because I don't want to be in a state that is not normal to me.
No, same.
And just being calm, I don't know. It just comes from within. I don't know what to attribute it to, just like you said, but I do know what it is. And so I lean into that and I use that as my strength. Excuse me. Some people in my life had said, "Isn't dangerous," or "You're so aloof." I'm sorry, no. That's not being aloof. It really is being a peaceful person and knowing how to self-regulate myself and being able to calm other people, I think, is one of my greatest gifts. People are here in my chair with me and I know that I'm calming them. I know when my kids are having a tantrum, I know how to calm them. That's a superpower.
Major.
So
major. I need to learn that from you. You have to teach me.
I will teach you. Yes, stick around.
Yes, I will. Oh, I'm not going anywhere.
No, you're not. Even if you wanted to, you would never go anywhere. So now being in this unique place that we are in, as single moms, a lot of women might be looking at our story and thinking, how do I get there? They're feeling stuck wherever they may be in their chapter. How did they get to this place where there is light on the other side? What was the sort of changing point or the breakthrough point for you to get you here, to being this version of you?
Time. Time. With time, you learn things. And with confusion and heartache and suffering, you grow wisdom, right? But that all takes time, because in that moment, when you're
You
mad,
can't cheat the process.
when you're sad, you're so upset, you're having all these feelings. And what we were talking about earlier, you can't react, right? You have to really master that. But a lot of people, you could know to do that, but you're not going to do that. You're going to react. You're going to do all those things, but with time, with practice, you're not. You're going to know what to react to, what not to react to.
It's like a muscle that you work out at the gym.
Yes.
You get better and better at it, but you have to first be conscious of it.
Yes, you have to learn. With practice comes, the patience, and comes the mastery and all those things. But compared to how I started my business, because then I didn't do it like how I would do it if I were to go back and tell myself, okay, Lucy, this is how you're going to do it. Obviously, the emotions were running high. There was a lot going on. It was a lot of chaos for me in my head and my heart and all the things. But I'm going to compare it to how I started my business. If I can give an advice, don't think about how you're going to do it. Focus on the prize. What's your goal? Your goal is to find happiness, right? Because right now you're not happy, right? So as much as you want, you can suppress it. It's going to come out. You're going to get sick. Somehow you're going to get sick. When you suppress things, your body gets ill, your mind gets ill. It's going to come out of your anxiety, your depression.
You trap in your body shows up as a physical sickness.
Yes, you're going to get physically or mentally sick. So you're going to get to a point where you can't hide it anymore. You can't be there anymore. So you have to focus on the prize, and your prize is going to be, I need to be happy again. I have one life to live. And my main goal is to live a happy life. My kids need to see me happy. My family needs me, right? Everyone needs me. So if you're not happy, if you have no fuel, you can't fuel others. And so what I did with my business, when I go back and I think, man, when I started my business, I was clueless. I have no business degree. I don't know how to open a business. I didn't know how to run a business. I literally just dove in and I just one thing at a time. And that's how that's the advice I'd give. Don't think about how you're going to do it. Just do it.
Right.
You'll figure out the rest.
When you walk the way appears. It's a Rumi quote I refer to all the time.
When you walk the way appears. You can't, the vision is in your head already. The vision is, I'm not happy. I need to change my life, right? That vision got put in your head. But the rest is up to you. You have to make the moves. You have to believe in the choice that you're making too. You have to be sure and you have to believe in the choice that you're making. And
show up every day with action that's going to get you to that end result.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect, especially when you go through what we've went through. Are you crazy? Ain't perfect.
No.
Everything is messy. But you can show up and consistently put in the effort.
Yes.
To make sure you're moving forward.
Yes.
God did not intend life for us to move backwards. We can't walk backwards. We can only take steps moving us forward. And listen, no one leaps to the top of the mountain. You take one step, you take a third step and a fifth step. And as you are taking the step, your stride gets smoother.
Yeah.
Your endurance builds.
Your steps get
You
prettier.
learn how much water you need along the way. But you will get to the top one step at a time. And then you're just looking back.
I was talking to a really good friend the other day, and she's just been very unhappy in her relationship. She's getting nothing out of the relationship. It's like, pouring into a cup that just, has a hole in it. And I told her, I said, listen, make your move already. And make your move with the idea that this doesn't have to be over. Just because you're deciding to continue your life alone right now without him doesn't mean that later along the road, he won't catch up to you. You don't have to cut the tie and burn the bridge. If you're unhappy, step out of the relationship and focus on yourself and let him focus on himself. Sometimes when you're staying in a relationship that obviously you're both unhappy. It's not one person's unhappy and the other person's happy.
It's impossible.
It's one person's unhappy, the other one's delusional. Okay? That has to be what it is, because it takes two to tango. Two people to dance together. Like one person cannot be happy in a relationship and the other one's unhappy. That just right. Do you believe that can happen?
No. I think there's a disconnect, and it takes two to tango.
You're unhappy, and so is he. He just doesn't want to leave.
Men and women are wired differently when it comes to ending relationships. A lot of men will stay because they don't want to shake the status quo.
Not really, babe. A lot of women stay. And also, I don't want to say men and women are like different in this situation. No, if you're really unhappy and you have the balls, you're gonna exit. It's about where you are in that moment. Have you had enough? Is that person challenging you and you no longer want to be there? Are you challenging yourself and you no longer want to be there because you've given it all you have? So I think it's how full your cup is. Some people's cup is not full. It's like almost there, but it's not spilling. And then there's other people that their cup's spilling. It's like overflowed. It's been spilling for a long time. They can't take it anymore. Right?
Some people are waiting to feel ready. And I always tell people, you're never going to feel ready in anything you're doing in life.
No.
You just have to make the choice and take aligned action to support that choice.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you have to tell yourself, listen, this choice is not definitive. You have to detach from the outcome of that choice. You have to only focus on how you want to feel. I want to feel happy. I want to feel healed. I want to feel motivated to do the next thing, whatever it is. Focus on that. Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Just start moving in that direction. And trust me, things will open. People will come into your life and you will figure it out.
Yeah. We're like magnets.
You can be a magnet.
We are like magnets. We attract what we want and what we need.
I'm glad you said magnets, because when you are someone who has done the work like we have in the last few years, and now it's like, okay, this is 2.0. I'm showing up as this empath. We both are empaths. And open, and someone who does radiate all of those things we are attracting, but we're also attracting the good with the bad, because I wholeheartedly believe everything that happens to us in life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us.
Yeah.
So you have to really exercise your discernment and your free will and say, no, you're not for me. Even though I'm attracting you like a magnet, you're not for me, because at this stage in our lives, and this is something you and I talk about all the time, we cannot afford to fuck around.
No, because we're going to find out.
You're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
You will attract energy vampires. You will attract people who are so attracted to your light because you're someone who's been through the darkness. So now you're radiating light, but you have to protect your energy, because that energy that you're conserving is not just for you, even though you're on your own. You have to double down on your protection, because you still have to show up every day and be the businesswoman that you are. You have to show up every day for your kids, now more so than ever, because you're on your own.
And no one's protecting you.
There's liberty in that, but there's also a lot of responsibility. And saying no to everything that is not for you will attract even more that is for you. But it's saying no, which is hard.
It is hard, but we live and learn. Right? And all of it is a lesson. Like, you wouldn't know this if you didn't go through it.
Totally.
And it's so sad, because growing up, your elders or whoever loves you and is around you, is trying to advise you or guide you. They will give you advice and tell you what to do and what not to do, and you won't listen.
Not until you feel it on your own skin.
You won't listen, and you're not gonna, because that's not how life works. If that was how life worked, we'd literally be born with, when we're old enough, let's say it's your sweet 16 now, right? Or your quinceañera or whatever, that time, or it's your bar mitzvah, that age where you're now becoming a woman or a man, you would be handed a booklet. Why aren't we handed a booklet?
Because life is not a one size fits all.
Exactly. Because how easy is it to write a booklet and give it to every single child that turns of age, that now you're grown up?
You and I are both pretty spiritual, and I think it takes a spiritual soul to look at life through this lens. I see it as my soul is here to expand. I'm here to expand as a person, right? And to have a better life. I want a better life. I want a big life. I want an expansive life.
Yeah, me
but
too.
that doesn't happen when you stay still. That happens when you immerse yourself in the experiences that are meant to teach you the lessons. That's how you expand.
Say that again. Say that again.
You are meant to immerse yourself in the experiences that are going to give you the lessons to truly expand.
Yeah.
It's $20 extra for that line. For my wisdom.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. You have to feel all the feelings. You have to go through all the emotions. You have to ride all the waves. You can't skip through anything.
And all this comes with self-love.
Yeah.
How do you exercise self-love, my dear?
I like to chill outside of working, taking care of all my things, spending time with my son. When he's around, my life revolves around him.
Same.
I know. That's why we tried so hard to align our schedules.
Our weekends.
We have them now.
Game changer.
I know.
To all the moms out there, or the parents out there, single parents, make sure your weekends align with your friends, because it is a game changer.
Yes. I mean, I'm so glad we finally got there. But make time to just hang out with yourself. Just chill. Like, I talk to women, and like at work, we'll be talking about like, a show or something that like is good to watch. And sometimes when I hear someone say, I never watch TV, I never watch a show. I mean, I'm not saying go put the TV on, but you got to detach, like you got to turn off your brain.
Stop lying. You were telling me yesterday to start watching Love Island. And I'm going to.
You need to start watching Love Island. UK was my favorite so far. I mean, I just started it, but my partner Sean at work, his husband's one of the main producers of Love Island, and I've been hearing about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this, because like I'm at a place where now I'm single. I don't have a partner, and like this is going to be interesting for me, because I know a while ago I tried to put it on, and for me it was like, okay, I don't like reality shows, so I couldn't get into it. But at this moment of my life, I'm like, I think I might be able to get into it.
Right.
And I'm into it. It's good.
I think that's the trick, girl, is just have fun in this moment.
Yeah.
We don't have as many responsibilities on certain days, right?
Yeah.
That we did, several years ago while we were still married. So have fun with it.
Yeah.
This moment is not going to last forever. And finding levity is so important because that's what gets you through the sad days. Honestly, when my boys are not with me, I can either choose to be sad or I can choose to have fun or work or do things that are productive. But listen, fun is not overrated. You need to have it. Silly fun, all of it.
You have to have fun. Listen,
it raises your vibration.
All about having fun.
As it should be.
You should have fun. So when I see people that are like kind of boring or like have like really low energy, and I can't understand those people. I'm a little wild. I'm a very like, I'm a hippie. I'm wild. I'm fun. I'm a little crazy. I know, that's why we connect. And I think that's one of the things that like eventually my ex couldn't understand, because like I'm a wild and free person. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a bad girl. It doesn't mean that, I'm not classy, because I'm very classy, but I'm also very goofy and very silly, and I love to have fun. And that's what he fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And
but in this chapter of your life, you had to learn, I think, to fall back in love with yourself.
I did. And when I fell back in love with myself, Fun Lucy died in that marriage eventually. And I think that's why I was so unhappy. And because I couldn't really be myself anymore, because I had to be a little more serious and a little bit more like,
I think
what
that's
is it
the
called?
message
The Stepford
wife. Yeah. I think that's the message to women in this second chapter is you get to be you again.
You get to be you again.
But a more evolved, a wiser, older, stronger, smarter, sexier version of you.
And
there's nothing wrong with that.
When we're in our late 30s, 40s, when you're like
it's the best
more
time.
Mature woman, you're not shy as like you were when you were in your 20s or early 30s. Like I remember I was shy. I was more shy then, and now I'm not as shy. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I am not like, I'm very confident in what I want. This is what I want. Mm-hmm. This is what I want, and this is what I want now. And if you don't like it, then bye. Because I'm a giver. Like I will literally take the shirt off my back and give it to you. When I love someone, like I'm loyal as can be with my friends, with my, partner, and I give it all, and I'm very loyal, and I'm like, I'm not a judgy person too. Like I can't stand people that are judgmental. I think it's like such a low vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's the first step in really loving yourself also is understanding that to be the best version of you, to love all these people in your life, it really does start with self-love.
You have to be you.
Of course, because you have to, there's this quote that I'm trying to remember right now. You have to be there for you before you can be there for anyone else, right? It's that the mask that we put on.
Yeah.
And how you love yourself is a manual to how other people should love you.
Yes. I read a quote that says, since we're going into quotes.
I love quotes.
Yes, me too. There's this girl on Instagram, and she says some really amazing things, but she says, when you're in a relationship, right? If you love him, he loves him. If you love you, he loves you.
That's very true.
So he will love who you love. And one thing that a lot of women get lost in is, and Lana Del Rey made a song about this actually. When we fall in love, when we get into a relationship and fall in love, it's all about him. It's all about him.
So how do you make it not about him?
You can't do that. You can't forget about your friends. You can't forget about having, girl time. Look, guys maintain their guy time. Why can't we do the same? We literally get lost in the relationship.
Because society teaches mothers to be martyrs.
No, but it's wrong.
And no, listen, there is a time and place for everything.
Yes, there is.
Compartmentalizing your life, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
When I'm with my kids, my bones belong to them.
For sure, I'm the same.
I wake up and I work 3 jobs because I want to live a noble life to provide for my children on my own. I don't need to make any excuses to anyone. But here's the thing. When it's a time for me to rest, I'm going to rest.
Yeah.
When it's a time for me to do what makes me happy, I'm going to do what makes me happy. I have the power of conviction because I earned it.
Yes.
And I am mine before I am anyone else's in life.
Same. You learn that with all of this.
With all of this, you learn
get yourself back.
You get your
love
power
yourself back. You get your power back.
How do you handle judgment? because you're a public figure. You were a singer before. A lot of people knew you. You won an Armenian Idol. You put yourself out there, even with your microblading and beauty industry. You're always putting yourself out there. I'm sure there were a lot of people who were very nosy and very judgy. How did you handle that?
It was very hard. And I had a really hard time with that. I had a hard time with people coming at me and my, family, thinking I made a mistake. Right at the end of the day, I wanted it to just be over, and people didn't think that I made the right decision, and they judged me. It's very hard. I think that's one of the main things that every girl is going to think, especially, we're Armenian, so we're going to talk about the Armenian community. I think that's one of the biggest keeps
It's a
them
disservice
from
to our society is
yeah,
the judging one
yeah.
another.
And I think that's the biggest fear that they all are going to have is, what are people going to think? How are people going to view me? And you can't even care.
That's the answer.
Cannot care.
You can't care.
Because you know what? Guess what? Nobody really cares. They're going to care for that week, for that month, but they're going to go caring about something else. It's like your news is going to be old news in just a matter of time.
And I work in news, and I'll be the first person to tell you news recycles very fast.
Yeah.
If you get stuck on it and you fuel that fire, it's going to keep burning.
If you make something a big deal,
it's going to be a big deal. But if you choose to be above it, you'll always be above it. You said you wanted to ask me that question, and this is an open space. Ask me whatever you want. Here's the deal. I have very thick skin. I'm a very strong person, even though I'm very soft and calm. I have thick skin. It comes from being in this business that I've been in for almost 20 years. I know who I am. Every day when I show up to anything that I'm doing, I know who I am. And so I exercise that same mentality when I make choices in my life. I know who I am. There's no one out there that can say something about myself that I don't already know. And if they can, then it's not true.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. In the Armenian context that you're referring to, I've done so much for this community that I proudly walk into any room holding my head up high, knowing how much I've done. A lot of people haven't done that. And so no one can pass that judgment on my personal life because they don't have that authority. And I don't give anyone that authority. That's the thing. You give your power away when you care what people think.
Exactly.
I've never cared what people think because first
And
and
that's why I love
foremost,
you.
I'm living this
Love that
life
about you.
with grace, with dignity. And I know that. I go to bed every night with a very clean conscience. And anything that I've made a mistake in, I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm going to make those mistakes.
Of course. And it's funny.
So I wear that with
'cause
pride.
People
and I'm
look at
here
you
in
like
this,
you're not human, right?
That's their problem.
Yeah,
But
I
here's the
know.
thing. I also have this platform where I wholeheartedly and openly discuss these things. And again, I have nothing to hide because I'm not here to be judged. If
Yeah.
there's someone that resonates with my story, then wonderful. That's the whole point, is to create community through shared experiences. But if someone wants to come in and judge that, that's their problem more so than
Yeah.
it will be mine.
Yeah. You and I both at a young age were on TV, got thrown into the public eye.
And that gives you confidence.
Yes.
Because we were willing to do what a lot of people aren't willing to do. And there's so many people listening now that in their own way, in their own lives, they've done things that have tested them. They went to law school, they went to medical school, they were stay-at-home moms. It doesn't matter. You know where you earned your stripes in life. So let that be what gives you the courage of conviction in life.
Yeah. And all that experience gave us thick skin, right? And so we became very confident in the decision that we had to make. And we didn't care about what people had to think because, we understood that we've gone through that, like being in the public eye and like me singing in front of like all these people, being on Armenian Idol, or you being on the news every day. And like, we're getting up, you're speaking, I'm singing. And there's only so much you can care of what someone thinks about how you said something or how you sang something. Again, we're human. So the courage builds that thick skin, right? And that's why we're so risky. We're risk takers because we've had to be.
That's very true.
We've had to be. That's been our life for many years.
What's the opposite of taking a risk? Staying stuck.
Staying stuck.
And what keeps you stuck? Fear, guilt, and shame.
Mm-hmm.
If you can let go of that,
Mm-hmm.
you can move forward in life, and you can choose how you want to move forward in life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting here with this understanding because it came easy.
Mm-hmm.
No one held my hand when I was waking up at 2 a.m. and going to work and then coming home and cooking for my kids and doing the homework and doing all those things, but I did it. No one held my hand when I moved away and had to live alone with no friends next to me, with zero money in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
No one held my hand during my dark days. I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
in that moment.
Yes.
Look, what I'm trying to say without saying it is, there are a lot of women that are in a situation that they're so unhappy with. But you're going to see and find out who your people really are when you decide to make these tough decisions. Whether it's like, changing the course of your life, now you're unhappy, you want to separate, whatever. Whether it's opening up a business that, people don't believe in.
Mm-hmm.
People have to believe in you. They have to love you and they have to trust you. And they have to have your back. Right? So when you make this tough decision, whatever that decision is going to be in your life, whether it's relationship-wise or business-wise, who's going to stand beside you and help you? Who's going to check on you every day? Who's going to call you and say, hey, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a big life lesson, because when God puts something into your head and says, hey, you're in a place, I need you out. You're stuck in the situation, I need you to make a move. You're unhappy with your job, you need to get out. Stop sitting in that office. You're unhappy in this marriage, it's time to let it go. When you make these big decisions that are very, very hard, who's going to come and stand beside you? Who's going to check on you every single day? Those are going to be your people, because we are nobody without our people.
Mm-hmm.
You are who your friends are. They say people are so important. Ellina, look at the relationship we've built. How much easier are our days, because we know we can share this experience. We're not alone. We check on one another. We make plans with our kids.
We laugh at the ridiculousness of things.
Yes. And so having good people by your side, people
Mm-hmm.
that truly care about you, is very important. So when you're making a big altering life decision, the people, like I said earlier in the show, my friends dropped like flies when my business took off, because those people were not supposed to be in my life forever. They were just there in that vibration. Now my vibration elevated. They're not going to come and elevate. They're not going to be elevated with me, because their vibration only is that high. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So you have to surround yourself with people that are vibrating like you.
Mm-hmm.
Because why are we unhappy in a situation? Because we're not vibrating on the same level, right? Whether you're in a relationship, whether you're in a job, your boss is pissing you off, they're picking on you. They're constantly bringing out your flaws and focusing on your flaws instead of focusing on all the good that you have. The people you're surrounding yourself with are going to make or break you. So when God puts an idea for you to make a shift and move, you're going to see who's supposed to be in your life. Who's going to be by your side? Is that friend going to call and check on you? Is your sister-in-law going to call and check on you? Is your whoever going to call and check on you? Or are they just going to be like, she made a mistake? Don't be afraid of when you're making a move, they don't come with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not supposed to be there. That's why you're making a shift. And when you make a shift, a lot of things fall apart. You lose a lot of people, like we talked about. And, one of the things that I hear a lot is, but if I change my life, what happens to the family? What happens to everyone?
Everyone is still there. The dynamic changes, but the love doesn't change.
The ones that come with you, even though your family's not together anymore, those are your real people, because a marriage isn't what's supposed to hold you all together.
Look, love is not something you buy at the store.
No.
Love is an energy that you have to feed into, that you have to work to maintain.
Yeah.
Whether you decide to stay in a situation or you decide to outgrow that situation. Mm-hmm. If you want to maintain the love in your life for your children, for yourself, mm-hmm. you have to feed into that love mm-hmm. by making choices and bringing people in that are going to uphold that vibrational, loving energy. And it's how you do that that dictates tomorrow. It's how you do that that dictates the experience. Someone said to me recently, he was a friend who sent me a text message because I was feeling sad that day. He said, love does not change just because the nuclear family dynamic changed. And your children are watching you right now. Do you want them to see someone who is going to be stuck in the past, or do you want them to see this peaceful, calm, beautiful, excited, motivated version of you? And it's a choice we make every single day. And I take that back to my meditation. When I meditate every single morning, it's a moment to pause and say, who do I want to show up as today? Not as who I am with the ability that I have today. Who is my higher self? Is my higher self someone who's accomplished and has it together and is happy and is providing and is doing all these things and is vibrant? Great. That's what I'm going to choose. And I'm going to not choose everything and everyone that is blocking me from that. And that, my friend, is maturity. And that, my friend, is being a grown-up. And in this stage in our lives, the choices that you and I have made, it can very easily fall apart tomorrow because it's fragile. And we can be fragile too. But you have to make the choice to be strong.
I mean, and it will fall apart, but you got to pick up and keep going.
The bounce back rate.
You know, it's not going to be steady. It's going to be a wave of like, okay, you got this.
Nothing is linear. Nothing is linear. How do you get through the moments that feel difficult for you? What is your bounce back rate?
How do I get through them? I pray. I really do. It's the only thing that's ever worked. That's my meditation. It's my meditation. I
know you tell me to pray all the time.
Yeah, because it literally worked for me. It's like the one thing that like God came through when I needed him. He always does. You just got to pray, have faith, and just believe this one thing. Everything happens for a reason and you're exactly where you need to be.
And just be calm.
You're going to teach me that.
You're going to teach me to pray. I'm going to teach you to be calm.
Yes, I love that.
Because in the silence and in the calm is when you learn everything you're meant to learn. It's when the power of prayer actually does come through, when you can keep yourself calm. When we are reactive, and that's something I had to learn the hard way. Trust me, I was reactive when I was younger. I had petty moments. I snapped. I was bitchy. I've done all of it. You know, can write a book. But now at this stage in my life, the calm gives me clarity. That's why I choose calm every day. It's a choice.
No, it's a really, really good choice.
And when you pray, the prayers and the words from God, the wisdom sinks in when you can attach yourself to those calm moments.
It calms you. My prayer calms me down. It reminds me and it grounds me. It reminds me that like, it's okay. It's okay.
Are you happy in this stage of your life?
I'm very happy in this stage of my life. I love my life. I'm so grateful. I have the most beautiful boy. He's so funny and he's so smart and I'm so blessed. And I mean, I have everything I want and I need. That one thing that's missing, I'm sure it's going to come when the time is right. But other than that, everything else is great. I have great friends.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You know the saying, just
happy
sit pretty
right now? Yeah.
You know, my happiness comes and goes in waves. I have days where I feel ecstatic and I'm so joyful and so riding high on that vibration. And I have days where everything that's negative gets the best of me.
I mean, of course, we all have those days, Ellina, like everyone, even in a happy marriage, everyone,
you know what I've learned?
They have that.
The best way to trick the system is to focus on you.
Yeah.
I wake up now every single day and I think about what do I need to do and what do I need to implement in my life that's going to serve me? Yeah. Because who else is going to show up for me but me?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a great group of friends and family, but listen, at the end of the day, I made this choice. So I'm going to keep making that choice for myself every single day. Because when you focus on you, everything else focuses on you.
When you love you, they love you.
Yes. And it starts with self-love.
Yeah.
And what did we talk about last night at dinner? That when you let go, things just find you.
Yeah, you can't chase. You can't chase anything. You can't chase a person. You can't, I mean, you can chase a job. You can chase a career, but that's it. You know, when it comes to people, you can't, or things, you can't chase. You have to let it come. You know, you have to let it come. It has to just align. It has to fall into place. Right?
And there is so much beauty and wisdom in this second chapter.
Mm-hmm.
We talk so much about the pain and the grief. And of course, you have to go through that. But
Yeah.
there's light at the other
Yeah.
end, on the other side.
Yeah.
And really, I'm so proud of both of us because we
Me
really
too.
did go through the storm.
Me too.
And to whoever is listening that maybe is going through the storm right now, it will pass.
Oh my God.
The storm will pass. That is the law of life. You have to hold on to what you need to hold on to so you don't get swept up in the wind and the rain and all that stuff.
Grab on, girl. Grab on.
And grab onto your gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in that hardest moment, if you can find something in your life to be peaceful for and something to look forward to, the storm will pass, the dust will settle. And you might look around and find that half of what you built is no longer there. But guess what? You now have an open landscape to rebuild. And that's how you focus on the positivity.
Yes. And remember, you're going to be old news. Just give it a little bit of time. No one cares. Nobody really cares. Everybody's focused on their own life. You're not that. My sister always tells me, or used to tell me, my sister Lily, Lucy, it's you're not that serious. It's not that serious. You're like a little ant on this giant planet. Just
Lily
remember,
would say that.
Just remember that when things are getting tough, just remember that like you're just a little speck on this giant, planet Earth. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
And I think you and I both deeply understand that, and that's what gives us our humility.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't take ourselves too seriously.
No.
And you never should.
No, you should never. And when I see people that do, it's so gross. Such a turnoff. I really can't. I can't do it. I can't. That's why I can't be attracted to like a guy that, is like, all that and knows it. I'm like, I'm all that and I'm not taking myself too seriously. Why are you? Who are you?
I want to know about something.
I'm God's child and I'm all that. And I'm over here just making silly jokes. Like, no, it's not cute.
What do you look for in a man now in this second phase? Let's put it out there. Let's manifest.
I'm going to put it out. I've been putting it out there.
It's a Jupiter moon, so it's good luck.
You know what? I need to be very attracted to the man that I choose to be with. He needs to be in his very masculine energy because I'm a very feminine woman, but I can tap into my masculine role real quick if I have to, and I don't want to, and no girl wants to. By the way, for all the men listening, no girl wants to be controlling you or controlling a situation or telling you what to do or whatever.
It's not innate to us.
No. If I want to feel like I don't have to worry about anything. I'll nurture, I'll do I'll play my feminine role really well if you play your masculine role very well. And that's what I want. I want a guy that just is going to just come in and be like, don't worry, babe, I got it. I got it. I'm going to take care of you in all the ways so that I can take care of him because I have so much to give.
You do.
And so do you. We love taking care of people that we love, and imagine the guy. And I know you took care of your man and I took care of mine. We were very good, wives. I think that you should be attracting a very intelligent, tall, handsome, wealthy man that's going to, you look like a princess. I told you last night, you look like Princess Ellina. You're Princess Ellina.
Ooh.
So you need your Prince Charming and he needs to be perfect.
Ditto, girl.
Yes. In all the ways. When I pray for my man, I tell God, I'm like, God, just bring me my man. You know exactly what I need.
Luce, I love you. You are the eternal optimist. You are Charlotte.
You know exactly what I need. I've told you a million times. Just bring him to me.
Well, listen, Charlotte even went through her trials and tribulations. She had her so-called tray.
Mm-hmm.
And then she eventually found what was right for her.
Yeah.
So,
well, who are you in Sex and the City, Ellina?
Oh, Carrie all the way.
Carrie.
Okay.
Carrie all the way.
Duh. Well, with a different ending. But my dear, you are also going to have your happily ever after.
I know.
We both are because we deserve
worried.
that. And I know you're a good girl and I know I'm a good girl. And in our hearts, that's why we connected. And to all the good girls out there, you will go through moments in your life that will bring out a different version of you. Go with it, roll with it, but never lose sight of who you really are.
Yeah.
And when I look at you, you are someone who resonates kindness. You have this innocence about you. I always make fun of you for it because it's adorable. And I adore that in you. You're a good girl. You have a
Thank
good
you,
head
babe.
on your
So are you.
shoulders. You're a beautiful mom. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have you in my life.
I mean, ditto, girl.
And I'm not worried about us.
I'm not either. I'm not worried about this whatsoever.
And I'm not worried about the people listening because we
Mm-mm.
can all figure it out. My
Yeah.
story is not any more unique than anyone else's.
Mhm.
And it's life. Don't take
Yeah.
it too seriously. Go through everything you need to go through and have fun.
Yeah.
Even in the darkest moments, realize this is life giving you something.
Yeah.
And it's part
Sit
of your
there,
story.
cry it out, pray, figure it out, let God guide you, and be 100% sure when you're making your move. And then once you make it, you already know you've thought hard and long, and just keep going with confidence. And that's all you have to do.
That's it. I love you,
And
girl.
just know that it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Love you.
Love
Thank you for
you.
being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Through with Ellina Abovian. For our community to grow, please like and share, and also leave a review on this episode. Of course, you can find me on social media and let me know what you'd like to talk about in future episodes. Nothing is off limits, so let's have some fun.